Hey, I read all of the comments. I see all of the engines that people mention they'd like to see torn down on this channel. And I'd like to think of myself as a terrible DJ because while I do take some requests, as long as what I'm tearing down is what you'd like to see, you're going to be happy. Otherwise, okay, maybe not the best analogy. The reality is a lot of the engines that you all request aren't engines that are easy to find because they're so new they're under warranty, or they're so rare they have a really high core charge. Or sometimes they're not even offered in North America, like the Barra or the 1.2 liter PureTech, which I don't even know how I'm supposed to get my hands on. But today we're going to take one of those highly requested engines off the never done list with this Audi 3 liter TFSI engine. This is the CREC, and it is out of a 2016-ish Audi A6 or A7 or perhaps even a Q7. They all have the same basic engine. And this came with a gaggle of core engines from a local dealership. And unfortunately for everyone, I don't have a VIN. I don't have the mileage of this. I don't know the history, the story, but I can tell you that it does have stock numbers on the supercharger, and it has heat tabs from a salvage yard, a big conglomerate salvage yard, all over this thing, which tells me that this engine was either rejected as it got delivered, they installed it and found it was bad, or it was installed, driven for a little bit, and then it was bad. Either way, it's bad. This 3 liter TFSI engine is bad, and today we're going to tear it all the way down and find out why. That's what we do here. The Audi CREC is a 3 liter all aluminum dual overhead cam direct injected V6 that is supercharged. It produces 333 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque when they're stock. There's a lot of people out there that tune these things. Now, I don't buy a lot of Audi or Volkswagens to dismantle at Importapart because I got enough stuff to do. I don't need more things to focus on, but I do field a lot of calls and a lot of requests for engines from these vehicles. And one of the most popular engines I get asked for from Volkswagens or Audis is this. But I was also warned by my friends that work in the field, that work on these things for a living, to stay away from used engines because they're all bad. I wonder what they mean. To be completely transparent, I've heard great things about this engine's predecessor. The CREC is the only engine I've heard really terrible things about, and the ones I've been warned to stay away from. And now for you veterans that have watched this channel for a long time, you'll note that this engine is not really on an engine stand, it is on my hydraulic table because the timing chain's in the back, which means that I can't mount the engine stand to where the transmission would normally go because, well, I can't take it apart if I do that, which means I'm going to have to mount the engine stand somewhere else, somehow. So we're going to start with stripping the front of this engine. We'll get the crank pulley, the water pump, and some of the other stuff off the front of this engine to see if there are bolt holes I can use to get this on my stand semi-safely. I'm at home. OSHA doesn't apply. Now I'm going to do something totally out of order. So normally the first thing we would do is pull the spark plugs and see what they look like, but this engine doesn't have any. The next thing I'd do is turn the engine over, but there's no center bolt in the crankshaft, which might make things slightly more complicated there. So instead of doing those things, I'm going to remove the supercharger. Now the supercharger has clearly been off. There's no hardware holding it to the cylinder heads, and I think it's just sitting there. There's a stock number on the head, which it could be the supercharger that came from this engine, and there might just be harnesses that are routed underneath, which is why they had to remove it. But either way, let's get this thing off of it. Part of the reason I'm doing this first too is because it's kind of heavy, and this engine isn't bolted or strapped to anything. And for safety reasons, removing this heavy supercharger just might make things a little bit better for me. That was it. I expected there to be more drama there. And there's some things disconnected under here. Oh, these are loose. Those are, it looks like it's port and direct injected. The rails are gone. What happens here? All right, well, I'm gonna have to actually start taking some fasteners out to get all of this stuff off. Let's remove this fuel line from the pump. A little bit of fuel came out. All right, one side, and I have the vacuum pump on the other side. I think that's it. I'm not sure how this exactly comes apart. That looks like it's one piece. Does it pop out of here? Do I have to remove or cut the band clamps? Maybe. Perfect. And I didn't even have to cut anything. I'm just gonna kind of clean this up a little bit. See, is this held on loosely? It's loosely bolted. All right, those are out. Let's see if I can pull the intake depressors out. Nope, those are in there. Do these come out? Because they're not coming out. I mean, I might be able to get them out, but should I get them out? No. I think I'm going to not mess with this. But either way, I think we can still get a good look down the intake ports. So we can get a better look at the intake ports here. They are beautiful. Look at how good those valves look. I mean, there's some debris in there. I don't know what that is, but hopefully it's not alive. I think the blower's been off this for a while, or loose, and this thing's been kicking around for a bit, but they look great. Let's go to the other bank. Yeah, this looks really nice. I don't see any issues here. This looks outstanding. One of the nicest looking intake valves that we've seen on here in a long time. So there's not really a whole lot to look at with the supercharger. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't see any signs of leaks. If you look in the, there we go. If you look, oh, we're making a mess. It's not a big deal. But if you look in there, you can see, I don't know if you can, it's intercooled. So that's why it's got coolant in it. I've heard that people are now modifying these or using adapter plates to run these on different kinds of V6 engines, which is pretty awesome. Now we're going to start stripping the front, back. This is the front. Even the timing chain's on the back. We're going to start with the water pump pulley. Now this plastic coolant pipe. See, did that help me at all? It seems like we're connected to this thing. All right, now I think we just need blue. I was getting caught on something, I'm not sure what. I think I'm gonna have to remove this tensioner of belt. Now this, should, but it doesn't, it should, it does. Oh, we still got a vacuum line. Don't want to cut anything. Let's see if we can get the crank pulley off. Oh, it doesn't just fall off? Hold on. And there she is, she's off. One thing I did want to mention is the condition of the coolant passages here is less than ideal. Doesn't look so great. Now this idler. Now what I'm doing is looking to see what bolt holes I can use to safely mount this engine to the stand. I'm sure there's some apparatus that exists that I don't possess that probably wouldn't work with my engine stand anyway. Looks like there's a strong bolt hole here. There's one here. And then, well, that's all there is that I can see easily. I don't really see another way. I'm going to pull some of this stuff off, but I highly doubt there's going to be anything substantial behind it. But either way, we're going to clean this side of the engine off so that it's easier to mount to a stand. I hopefully don't have to bolt this in with just 2 bolts. All right, let's start with the water pump. Pretty early in the video for this. Let's see what this looks like. I'm just going to give it a little tap. You know, it helps when all the bolts are out. I bet it comes off a lot easier now. Oh, we're leaking a little bit. There's our water pump. I don't know what this little dude is. A vent of some kind? This thing looks pretty good. Check out this water pump. 9/1 of 24, or January 9th. I think it's probably January 9th. That's almost new. This is a great condition part. It would be a great backup for somebody. Well, it passed that test with flying glass. It's fine. But alas, there was no big bolt holes behind it like I didn't think there would be. Let's take this off next. And we have one more. So we have two right next to each other and one here. It's better than two. And lastly, we're going to remove this cover. I have no idea what's behind this. I have some idea. This is a pretty light engine. So I think 3 bolts will be enough. Because I am certainly not using anything else other than this hole, and this hole. Now I'm going to pause for a little bit while I figure out how the heck I'm going to get this mounted to my engine stand. Like I said, I'm going to use these 2 holes and this one, and just don't look at it. It'll be fine. All right, let's see if this works. This is either going to work or it won't. I think it'll work. It works. You guys doubted me.
I doubted me.
So this is how I've got it mounted. 1, 2, 3 bolts. And it's fine. It's a relatively lightweight engine. Anything more than 2 is at least 50% better than 2. So I'm content with this. I would not work on an engine that I wanted to put back together and torque the head bolts down and do all those things mounted like this. There's got to be a better way. I just don't have it here at the house. Also, I wanted to mention that this has a dipstick tube. This is what this black thing is. And then this Fender Stratocaster shaped thing should be the dipstick, but when you pull it, oh no, it's just a cap. But clearly you could manufacture a device that would fit through here to properly check your oil level, because they sell that. It's just not this. Why? Why would you do that? Now we can see the back side of the engine, which houses the timing system. And normally I'd start zipping some of this stuff apart, but what I'd like to do is look at the entire timing system before I take the tension out of it. So we're going to remove the, I don't know if they call this a flex plate or flywheel, but it's leaving. All right, now I've got 2 of the bolts threaded back in, and we're going to turn this engine over, or try to. Oh yeah, it turns over. Got a little tight spot there. Doesn't really sound that great or feel that great, but there are no plugs in it. I wonder what the tight spot is. And I think the sound we're hearing are the chain tensioners, since they are oil pressure fed, and this currently has no oil pressure. Yeah, it turns over all right, not great. Next, we're going to remove the oil filter. Hey, there's still an oil filter in there. So here's the oil filter. And I've opened a handful of pleats so far as I can. It's just got this epoxy stuff on here. And I don't see any metal, which is a good sign. I don't see any debris at all. Now it is time to start unbolting the timing cover. And there's bolts everywhere. There's some T30s that run in this way from the cylinder head, here, here, and here. And then there's some up here. And when you get down to the bottom, you've got some 12.10 millimeter headed bolts. It's not going to be too bad. It just looks bad. It might be bad. All right, what did I miss on the face of this for T30s? Right here. Move on to this head. These are going to have to be taken out with a shorter T30. Those pretty long bolts. Trying to be careful not to get my ratchet stuck. That one's going to be more challenging. All right, it's going to be okay. I'll do this manually like. Perfect. We're going to use a magnet. A lot of times I don't follow proper procedure when dismantling these engines because it's hard to show everything if I do that. I like the timing system complete. I don't know that this is the correct order of process. You may have to pull the cam gears off, but this is the way I'm doing it because this engine's not going back together. Perfect. And now we can get the 12-point headed bolts. I'm gonna whip my pan in case it's full of fluid. Okay, here goes something. Give it a little tappy tap. This part's pretty loose. I don't think I missed anything. Let me double and triple check here. Those bolts are out. I think it's all out, guys. Let me get a blue in there for some prying action. I don't want to break this. Yeah, I literally don't see anything. That was violent. I have to put the brakes on, lock the stand. Oh yeah, we're leaking. The pan was a wise move. And there's the very simple timing system. I just want you guys to take it in. Just look at this. There are a few pieces here. Now, every time I say something is, and I'm using air quotes, complicated, I get a lot of people that say, well, you just don't understand German engines, or you just don't understand. They're simple for people that work on them every day. Well, sure, I totally agree there, but they are not simple in terms of part content. There's a lot going on in here, and I'm not sure how to take it all apart. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But here's your crankshaft. That's your oil pump. There's your tensioner for the oil pump. That's the oil pump chain. Then you have this primary chain. I think that's an intermediate shaft. And then you've got these, they're idlers, but they're reducers as well. They changed the ratio since that side is smaller. And then you've got your secondary or auxiliary chains here and here. Was this really the way, guys? I mean, do these ever have problems? Is the other side. Yeah, this may be really complicated, but if you don't have to work on it, is it really a problem? A lot of dealer techs make a lot of money working on this stuff. I figured I'd turn it over to show you guys. I know you guys said you like seeing this stuff move, so here you go. That noise you're hearing is this tensioner here and probably this tensioner here because they don't have any oil pressure. It's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of shirts. I'm also a huge fan of cars. I love car shirts, which is why almost all of the shirts I wear on this channel, and in real life for the most part, are blip shift shirts. I get asked all the time where I get the shirts that I wear. So if you want to search through some very unique automotive related designs that you won't find anywhere else, follow the link in the video description. Now we're going to peel off the valve cover. This is the left hand bank. Yes. Wait, did I just start at the back? What am I doing? Is this plastic? It looks like it's metal, but I bet it's plastic. Or excuse me, composite. How dare I? Definitely not. I don't know, I can't tell. I think it's plastic. Yeah, it's plastic. So this actually looks really nice in here. Not a ton of varnish. It looks pretty clean. There is a little bit of wear on the cam lobe right here. All of them seem to have that. They're very, very skinny cam lobes. Very skinny. A lot less rotational weight, less contact patch, and ideally better fuel economy in that situation. And I don't see anything broken in there. All of the rockers are in place. It looks good. Let's go to the other side. Oh, wait. So this looks pretty good too. Similar wear on the camshaft lobes. There's a better shot at some of the wear on the cam. It's not terrible, but not what you want to see, and I can't help but think that's because of the size of the lobes, the thickness. But I don't see anything broken. Looks like a good engine so far. Now it's time to start peeling the timing system off. We're going to start with the cam gears. Oh, it's got too much give. I don't really want to get the bigger impact out. I don't love using an impact on this anyway, but I don't have the tools to lock the cams, so I'm not sure what to do here. Let's see if we can rotate the engine just a little and take the slack out of this. That's what we're going to do. Did not help. That did it. Using the correct tools to hold these is probably much more preferred than what I just did. All right, next we'll get this tensioner unbolted. Ooh. That's nice. What else have we got here? I think it's time to get the cam gears off so I can get these tensioners loose. This is still under quite a bit of tension. Do I have to take, how do I do this? Do I take this off? Let's find out. All right, now we need to get tension off of this stuff. This is the problem here. I got the tension off the main chain here. Maybe I can just slide these off. Oh, maybe. Yes. That'll do it. Let's do the same thing over here. Might use old blue here, give a little nudge. Okay, now I'm going to unbolt this tensioner. That's loose. That's looser-ish. Let's see, can I finagle this whole thing down? All right, got it off of that. Oh, we got parts coming out. It's a gear. What a surprise. Does this come out? I don't know how this, I might have to get the cams out to get this out, but I'm gonna mess with this for a minute. Can I have the chain, please? That's what I really want. Give me that chain. Oh, just dropped part of the tensioner. Look at that. Well, I'm sure that's a lot of fun to replace. A little short. Oh yes. That side's easier. Did I mess myself up by saying that? Let's come back to that. Surely this is not trapped by the casting. Oh no, it goes this way. What was I thinking? It's really excited now. All right, let's work on this oil pump chain. Now that unit, which also means that that's jammed up in there. Oh yeah, there's the primary chain. What a chain that is. Let's take a look at these tensioners here. There's 5 pieces. This is the main primary rail here, and it's got some wear, you can see by the discoloration. There's also a little bit of a gap here. I assume that's fairly normal. I don't know if there's a standard as such to look at. But there is one thing I'm going to say that's positive about this, besides the fact that none of these are coming apart. These are relatively short. And short guides or rails tend to last longer because there's less flex this way. When they get brittle, if they're short, there's just less of a contact patch. And in my experience, the shorter the rail, the less likely it is to fail. And then you look at some of the BMW stuff where it's a giant piece of plastic. It only takes one clip, one little ear to break off, and the whole thing comes apart and it ends up in the sump. That is not the case here. This all looks pretty good. Next, we're going to start on the right-hand cylinder head. Start with this bracket. And now the high-pressure fuel pump. That is a unit right there. Don't know if it's good. All right, now this is something I'm not really fond of. This had a 10 millimeter or 6x1.0 nut on this that held the bracket in place. And you have to take these studs out by using, what is this, an E5? Yes, an E5. Don't really know why you wouldn't just put a 10 behind it, but I'm not an engineer. And now the fuel pump housing. Now this engine uses a cam tower. There's no cam cramps, but we're gonna still crack these loose. All right, all the bolts are out. I'm gonna have to get this gasket off. That'll hold it together a little bit. And let's get blue, see if we can crack this apart without flinging parts everywhere. Well, they kind of leave you places to pry, but not really. That feels dangerous. Oh, we might have gotten somewhere now. Should be able to just pull this off. And now we can pluck the cams out. So let's look at the cylinder head. There's some junk in here. I don't know what that is. Looks like RTV perhaps. But the journals look pretty decent. All of the rockers, these all spin nice. This looks pretty good. There's a little bit of wear. Get you in there. A little bit of wear present, especially on some of these rollers. The oil doesn't look too bad. No major issues yet. The camshafts look excellent. No discernible wear or damage. I really wish I knew the mileage of this engine. And the cam tower has probably the most wear of all. It's a little scored up here. I was not expecting to see this kind of damage. Would I say it's bad? I don't think this is bad. I just think it's not perfect. And it probably looks like all of them do at this point. All right, let's crack the head bolts loose now. Not sure how tight these are going to be. All right, let's zip these out. What's beneath head number 1? A bunch of coolant. Well, I'm gonna rotate this a little and I'll drain it away. Let's pull the head gasket. Well, that looks good. Let's get this cleaned out. There's a whole bunch of junk in there. There's a ton of deposits on these pistons. I don't think this thing was driven very hard, because usually if you drive them hard, this stuff doesn't exist. Very strange piston design. Let's get this all cleaned up so we can take a look at the bores. All right, I did not do a great job cleaning this out, but I did enough to look at what we can see. And there's a couple interesting things. Number 1 is this middle cylinder. There's a bunch of buildup at the top. That's not loose. So I don't know what causes that. They all have a little bit. But the other interesting thing is the bore right there. Let's see if I can get a good shot at that. There's a better shot at it. It looks like the bore's, like a coating is coming off, but these don't look like they're coated. That side looks good, but this side looks bad. It's very interesting. It does not wipe away. I wonder what the rest will look like, but we're not going to turn it over until we get the other head off. Cylinder head looks pretty good. They're all nice and consistently oil deposited. The old Italian tune-up will go real far. You should do that sometimes. Put your foot down. And time for some science. Oh, we're turning it over. That one's not moving that much. It's probably at the bottom. It moves. We'll come back to this once we get the other head off. I don't want to make contact valves to pistons bad. Before we go cramming any bolts loose, we have to remove the vacuum pump. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it every time. Uh-oh. That's bad. This part sucks. No, I wasn't going to say that. I got to show you what I just found. So the cog drive of the vacuum pump is broken. I found this piece of metal inside. But I don't think that's... I think that's my fault, actually. I think I broke this because I was using an impact to get the cam gears loose. That is completely my fault. This vacuum pump was ruined, and it was probably good before. That really sucks. Now, it is time to cram the cam tower bolts loose. They are probably silent. Next, we'll zip these out. Hey, I didn't mean to do that. I want to make sure it's not going to grab a cam. I'm going to pull this off. I tried to. Now we can yank the shafts. So looking at this head, pretty similar to the other side. I think there's a little bit more wear to the rollers here. It's more like metal transfer. It's pretty bad on some of these, but I don't know if it actually causes an issue. There's the other broken tooth off of the vacuum pump. I'm not crying about it. It's fine. All this looks pretty decent. As you'd expect, the cams look pretty good. Even the one that destroyed the vacuum pump, it's fine. There's no damage there. And just like the other side, there's, I would say, moderate wear on the cam tower. Not in every journal, just a few of them. Not too terrible. All right, let's crack these head bolts loose. Oh. Well, the not real dipstick tube is in the way. There, now it's out of the way. Let's get my pan ready. And off with its head. Dipstick. The amount of junk on the top of the pistons is just astonishing to me. The head gasket is excellent. All right, let's take a look. Bores look pretty good. There's a little bit of pitting. Some odd scratches in there too. It's not wild, and then there's just so much buildup on top of the pistons. I can't wait to show you what the cylinder head looks like. Look at how much junk there is smashed into the cylinder head here, and I bet that the tight spot that I felt turning it over was trying to compress this junk. I sure hope they didn't reject this engine because of that. Because a little bit of brake clean or anything could have broken that stuff up. I don't see any issues with the head at all. It looks good. All right, time for more science. So they rock a little bit in the bore, especially at the top. It's kind of excessive seaming. I'll be interested to see what the piston skirts look like. I'm looking at the other bores. I think we're just going to have to get the rotating assembly out so we can see all the bores at one time. All right, now we're going to rotate this thing upside down, drain all the juices, so we can start on the lower oil pan. See what comes out of this thing. Some coolant, a washer, a little bit of oil. Oh, I'm making a big old mess over here. Oh, that's good. Okay, get this off so we can get the pan off easy. All right, let's get this pan unbolted. I don't think I brought my tool here. I still don't have everything from the shop to separate this pan. That tool would work really, really well right about now. We'll get it the old-fashioned way. Well, there's some stuff going on in here, but I don't see anything out of order. While we're here, let's get this baffle unbolted. So the inside of this looks pretty good, not a ton of varnish. Inside of the pickup screen, no debris. There's bubbles in here. I don't know what that's from. Is that just moisture? I don't see anything out of the norm in here. Let's go look inside the pan. This has got to be one of the cleanest oil pans that we've pulled off on this channel in a long time. All right, next I'd like to explain the oil pump. So here is the oil pump drive, but this itself is not the pump. We're going to get this unbolted, and there's a shaft that runs in the pan to this, which is the actual oil pump. That's how they did that. Go ahead and get this removed first. Really? I need blue for this? I didn't think I would. And there's the shaft. It's a nice big hex key. I'll keep this around. This is oil pressure fed, so that doesn't get worn out. Pretty nice hardware. All right, now we're going to unbolt the oil pump. Still a bunch of oil in here. So I don't have plans of taking this apart, but I will if I find an oiling related failure. I will certainly take it apart if that's the case. But if we don't find any bearing issues or crank issues, I don't see any point to take this apart. I'm sorry. Now we can unbolt the upper oil pan. All right, see if we can get this one loose pretty easy. I don't know. There's the upper pan. Looks nice. So far, this looks pretty good. Don't see any issues with the rotating assembly. Nothing sticking out anyway. The next step is going to be to pull the rods and pistons out of it. We're going to start at the front because, you know, I don't want to get sick. So we're going to get this thing to turn over. I'm going to make sure that there's no tight spots or anything alarming. I don't see any silver sparkles, so I don't think we're going to run into anything. But let's start getting the rotating assembly apart. Let's get this to turn over. Oh, it's smooth as butter. I'm going to stop right there so we can get those two loose. All right, let's get these two cracks loose. I think my push and stick is too large. Sounds weird to say it that way, but it is too large. Let's see if we can rotate this over a little bit. Perfect. It's got to be in the right position. Sounds wrong every time I say something. Oh no, blue, blue. Took a drink. These things practically fall out of the bores. All right, let's rotate this over to get to the next two. Just like to let everybody know that I've already found some issues. Likely part of the reason this engine is on my stand. And the fact that I can just push these out with minimal effort should be a clue. Let's see if I can turn this over by hand. Oh yeah, nice. All right, we've got 2 more. It's a good thing it's not an inline engine, because if this was straight down, these things would have just fallen out as soon as I unbolted them. Before I can get the bed plate unbolted, let's get this engine mount bracket. All right, now we can unbolt the bed plate. We're going to start with the perimeter bolts. Don't want to start at the back. Let's crack these loose the manual way. All right, now we can start on the main cap bolts. We're going to crack those loose manually as well. See how tight these are. Oh, they're not. I could zip these out. No problem. I think that's all of them. And if it's not, it should have been. Now, I don't know if they give you a place to pry, but we're going to look for that. Oh, yes. What about this side? Perfect. Some manufacturers just have that forethought. Someone's going to be here. And there we have the crankshaft. She's a weighty one. Let us start at the rod bearings. They are in excellent condition. Minimal wear, no grooves, no signs of oil starvation or debris in the oil. And while we're here, we will do the main bearings, which look even better. These look great. And then we get to the rods and pistons. And here is where the failure exists. Those oil control rings are completely clogged. The amount of junk on the top of the piston just tells me this thing was just chugging oil, which is what these engines are known for. Now, I don't know if there's a fix for this. I would think that running premium gas, good gas, maybe installing a catch can, changing your oil on time, and running it hard every now and then would probably be your best bet. But unfortunately, I don't feel like most people that own these cars do that stuff. And I've seen people complain that they'll burn as much as a quart of oil every 150 to 200 miles, which is like, that's like 2-stroke level. The compression rings look okay. There's moderate wear on the piston skirts, but it's not terrible. But the oil control rings, I'll get a close-up once I get through all these. Yikes. There's a better look at the oil control rings. Completely plugged with oil deposits. Not a very good design. They're a little too small, I think. I think these low tension rings have been the bane of internal combustion existence for the last 15 or so years. Thankfully, whoever owned this vehicle made sure that it wasn't running low on oil, because I think that can happen too, especially on something that burns oil at the rate that these can burn oil. It's a split pin design crank. This is in excellent condition. Definitely a usable component. Look at some bores. So you can definitely say this engine sat in a spot for a while. You can see that ridge in the middle. And that's pretty common with some of these cores, because usually some of these shops will wait until they have too many, and then they'll call me and say, hey, can you get these out yesterday? I'm only giving them a little trouble here. This one's got this weird stain on it, and I actually think that's just from moisture sitting in it. I don't think this engine was stored outside, but something spilled on it, a little coolant maybe. I think that's what that's from. The other bore, these all look pretty decent. I don't see any major damage. I can't feel anything with my fingernails. A little bit of pitting halfway down there. I definitely think this is a buildable block. A little bit of wear right there. From everything I've read and everything I've been told, as well as what I see here today, This is super common. This is what all of the 3-liter CREC engines do, and I don't know what there is to do about it. They all burn oil. And this is why I've been explicitly told if I'm going to buy these vehicles at the auction, don't plan on the engine being good regardless of how good it runs. It's very hard for us to figure out if an engine burns oil in a wrecked vehicle because I can't drive it for 300 or 1,000 miles. I can only run it, do compression and leak down, let it get to operating temperature if the cooling system is together. And that's the best I can do. I can bore scope it and I can look at the plugs and I can get a good guess, but I don't truly know, and that unknown for me just turns me completely off of selling these engines as good. This is why what I do sell, I know what's wrong with, or I know the common failure points, I know what to look for, and this is also another reason why I don't do a ton of Volkswagen or Audi parts. But I don't know what there is to do about this. Is there an updated piston or ring design? Are there updated crankcase ventilation parts? Can you put a catch can on it, and does it help? Running 93 octane or high octane, 91 in some places, does that help? Better oil change intervals. I'm sure all of those things help, but does it prevent this? However, there's one thing that has been my experience from the very beginning of working on cars. If an oil ring is clogged up, there's very, very little you can do to get all that junk out of there aside from pulling the whole thing apart. Because to get in there, you can kind of break it up a little bit. You can get it warm. You can rev it to the moon. You can soak it with ATF and acetone and do all these crazy things. But you never really get it all out, and you never bring it back. And if there's an underlying problem with the ring design, getting it clean isn't going to fix anything. This is just like the 2-liter Volkswagens. I hate to say it, this is kind of what they're known for. Because I don't do a lot of Volkswagen or Audi parts, if you'd like to buy any parts from this engine, this is the only one I'm going to tear down. I have several of these in stock, and I also have lots of the predecessor engines. If someone needs one as a builder, I have no interest in tearing them all down for videos unless something is broken catastrophically, and I don't think any of mine are. So if you want a cheap rebuilder, I have a bunch of running oil-burning engines, a bunch of them, both this and its predecessor. I'm going to leave our email in the video description. You can also go to Importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I've been uploading our parts cars multiple times a week. I'm trying to get caught up there. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.